Hi guys, and welcome back. So if you're like me and you're bored of giving baby blankets for baby showers, this is a great new thing that you can make. Today we'll be making a shadow box with a bear and some balloons. You can customize this to any pattern you like. You can even change up the animals using the same base pattern. Before we get started, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to get notified every time I post a video. If you try out any of my patterns, don't forget to send it to me either on Instagram or by email. The links are in the description below. So let's get started. So here are all the supplies you're going to need for the project. Let's start off with the yarn that we're going to use first. This is sport weight yarn, acrylic sport weight yarn. Here are the details of the yarn. It's a light 3-weight yarn. I have this in a bunch of different colors. We're going to be making a couple of balloons, so you can use any colors that you like. And then for your little plushie, you're going to need 2 colors. One is for the body as well as one for the little outfit. Along with all of this yarn, I'm going to be using a 2mm crochet hook. I also need a pair of scissors, a stitch marker, a yarn needle. You're going to need some kind of a frame or a box, preferably without a cover on top. So something which is basically hollow like this. You can use either a photo frame or you can get these little boxes at craft stores. You're going to need some stuffing, some form of liquid glue or an adhesive, because we're going to be sticking some things into our little box. You're also going to need a tiny pair of safety eyes or some black yarn for embroidery. So now I just wanted to show you some of the measurements of the bear. So from the ear all the way until the feet, it comes to about 21 centimeters. Now I did have the smaller box. If I was still working with the smaller box, I'd have to put the bear on the outside because it's a little bigger than the box, which is fine. You can still put the balloons on the inside. But I also found this really nice chalkboard tray, which I'm going to use now. If I measure it, it's about 25 centimeters, so works great for the size that I have. So the first thing we're going to make is a balloon. We're going to do a couple of different balloons just to show you this is what they look like, and they're a good fit for my box. So I put them inside my box. That's how big they are. If you want to make them a little smaller, you can slightly modify the pattern also. So do these in a couple of colors. Make about 3 balloons. Again, it depends on the size of your frame or your box. So to get started with the balloon pattern, we're going to make a magic ring. Wrap the yarn across your fingers to create an X at the back of your fingers. Insert your crochet hook into the bottom, pick up the top and twist, and then just pull up a loop. You have a magic ring ready. Now into this magic ring, we're going to place 4 single crochets. Insert your crochet hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Tug on the tail end of the magic ring to close it up. And for row number 2, into each one of those stitches from the previous row, so we've done 4, into each stitch we're going to place 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2 into the first stitch, into the one after that again 1, 2. This is called an increase. Into the next one 1 and 2. Into the last one again 1 and 2. This brings our stitch count total for this row to 8 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, you're going to do 1 single crochet into the first stitch, into the one after that an increase 1 and 2. Again you're doing this 4 times, so 1, into the next one 1 and 2. Number 3, you're doing 1 followed by 1 and 2. And your last one 1, 1 and 2. We've done our 4 repeats, and our stitch count total for this row is now 12 stitches. For the next row, we're going to do 2 single crochets, one into the first stitch, 1 into the next one, into the third one, 1 and 2. Again we do this 4 times. 1 into the first stitch, 1 into the next one, into the one after that, 1 and 2. 1, 1, 1, 2. And you do this 4 times all the way around until you have a stitch count total of 16 stitches for this row. Now I didn't attach my stitch marker. You can attach your stitch marker as soon as you've reached row 2 because it's easier to attach it at that point. I'm just going to place my stitch marker right now. Now we're going to do 4 rows and we're just going to do 1 single crochet all the way around. So each row will have 16 stitches. So just complete the next 4 rows with just 1 single crochet all the way around for 16 stitches for each of these rows, like this. Once you're done with the repeat rows, this is what it should look like. Now for the next row, you're going to do 2 single crochets. Now we're going to do a decrease. To do a decrease, split the first stitch in half, pick up only the front loop. Split the next stitch in half, pick up only the front loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do that again. 1, 2, and a decrease. Split the first stitch, pick up the front loop. Next stitch, pick up the front loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You're going to do this 4 times all the way around until you're left with 12 stitches for this row. After that, you're going to follow this up with only 1 row of 1 single crochet all the way around for 12 stitches for that row as well. Now for the next row, we're going to do 1 single crochet into the first stitch, followed by a decrease in the next one. Again 1 single crochet, followed by a decrease 4 times all the way around until you have 8 stitches for this row. Once you're done with your 8 stitches, don't forget to add some stuffing, and we're also going to do 1 row of 1 single crochet all the way around. Before we do that, I finished my 8 stitches. Let me move my stitch marker, pull out this stitch a little bit, and let's go ahead and add some stuffing. So I've got some of my stuffing right here. Just gonna push it in. We're gonna keep adding stuffing with every row till we finish up so that it's not understuffed, but we're also able to crochet easily. So as I said, now just do 1 row of 1 single crochet all the way around for 8 stitches. Now the next 2 rows you're gonna have to do a little carefully. We'll be doing 1 decrease 4 times around to bring down the stitch count to 4 stitches. If you see, I put my finger inside that point in the middle because we have to do 1 more row of increases after this. So we don't want that space in the middle to close up too much because then it will become very difficult to do the next row. So here I'm done with my 4 stitches. I'm going to take my stitch marker off now. For this row, it's better if you just count, it's easier. Now for this row, we'll be doing a half double crochet increase in every stitch. So yarn over, insert into the first stitch, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Yarn over again into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 stitches on the loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 stitches. We're doing this 4 times. That was into the first stitch. Place 2 half double crochets into the next stitch, into the one after that. Let's do 2 half double crochets again. 1, 2, into the last stitch, again 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2. Now that we finished, we're going to slip stitch into that very first stitch that we made. You're going to leave a long tail which we're going to use to sew on. Snip your yarn off and just pull it through. Now you can reshape your balloon a little bit and have 2 balloons formed right here. I'm going to do one more. You can do as many as you want depending on how large your box is, and then we'll work on the next piece. So now we're going to do a little bear. I've decided to go in with some white yarn. We're going to start with a magic ring. Into this magic ring, we're going to place 6 single crochets. I've closed up the magic ring now. For row number 2, we're going to place an increase into each one of those stitches until we have 12 stitches for this row. So 2 single crochets into each of the stitches, 6 times all the way around. Now I'm on that very last stitch. If you see, I've not done the yarn over and pull through. I haven't completed my single crochet. That's because we're going to do a color change now. So I want to do the little bears overalls in this really nice mustard color. So I'm just gonna grab the mustard colored yarn, place it in front of the white, pull it through, tighten the white yarn, and use a pair of scissors to snip it off. Now we're going to do one row of 1 single crochet all the way around for 12 stitches, but this time we're going to work into only the back loops. So if you see, each of the stitches has a V. Pick up the part of the stitch which is away from you, which is the one right here, and place your 12 stitches like this. Now for the next row, we're going to do 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to follow this up with 2 decreases. There's my first decrease, followed by my second one, and then you should have 4 stitches left, just 1 single crochet into each of those. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this brings your stitch count total to 10 stitches for this row. Now we're going to do just one row of 1 single crochet all the way around for 10 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, into the 3rd stitch and increase. Let's do that 2 more times. 1 in the 1st stitch, 1 in the 2nd stitch, into the 3rd stitch, put in an increase. One last time, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, into the 3rd one, 1 and 2, or an increase, and into that very last stitch, just 1 single crochet to bring your stitch count total to 13 stitches for this row. Now once you're done with this, we're going to leave a tail. Snip your yarn off, pull it right through. That finishes the first leg. Make a second leg identical to this one. The only thing is, at the end you're not going to snip your yarn off. So now that I finished leg 2, if you see, I haven't snipped my yarn off. Let's start joining these 2 legs together. So for that, into this second leg, we're first going to do 11 single crochets. That's our 11 single crochets. Now we're going to take the first leg. We're going to count off 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to attach the leg right here. And join these 2 legs together with a single crochet, and then place 1 single crochet all the way around. Now if you see, this is what it should look like. We're going to go into, so here's where our stitch marker is. Go into the stitch just before the one with the stitch marker, in the second leg and place a single crochet, and into that last stitch you're going to place 2 single crochets. There'll be a small gap over here, don't worry about that, we're going to stitch that up later. This will bring your stitch count total to 27 stitches for this row. And both your legs are now joined. Now for the next row, we're going to place 1 single crochet all the way around for 27 stitches for this row, and you're going to go all around the periphery. So let me just show you how to do that. We're going to go around this way and just across the outside, and we're going to keep working in rounds this way. Now for the next row, we're going to start by doing 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, follow that up with an increase, 1 and 2. You're going to do this 6 times, 1, 2, 3, followed by 1 and 2. So finish the 6 times and then I'll show you what to do. Now you should be left with 3 stitches. We're placing 1 in the first one, 1 in the second one, and in the very last one we'll do an increase, and this brings our stitch count total to 34 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, we're going to start with 9 single crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Now we're going to do an increase followed by 2 single crochets. We're going to do this 3 times. Again, increase, 2 single crochets, 1 more time, increase, 2 single crochets. You should be left with 16 stitches. Place 1 single crochet into each of these 16 stitches. And this should bring your stitch count total to 37 stitches for this row. Now before we go on, let's close up that little space that we have. So this is the long tail that I left when I done leg 1. I'm going to be using that to sew on, and I'm just going to do a simple stitch to close up that hole in between like this. Once you're happy with the way it's closed up, pull it through and you can just stuff it into the leg. We'll be adding stuffing anyway, so it'll just get hidden inside. Now for the next 2 rows, you're just going to place 1 single crochet all the way around for 37 stitches for each of the rows. Once you're done with your repeat rows, this is what it should look like. Now we're going to do a color change, so I'm undoing that last stitch that we made. I'm going to pick up my white yarn, I'm switching back to the white, pull it through, tighten all your stitches and snip the mustard yarn off. We're going to continue the pattern with the white yarn now. Now for this next row, we'll work only into the back loops. So into the back loops, we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3. Into the 4th and 5th stitch, let's do a decrease. Again, you're going to do 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, followed by a decrease. You're going to do this 7 times. Once you're done with this, you should have only 2 stitches left. Go into the back loops of both of those and just place 1 single crochet. This should bring your stitch count total to 30 stitches for this row. Now you're going to do 1 row of just 1 single crochet all the way around, front and back loops, just regular single crochets for 30 stitches for this row. And don't forget, you're going to have to start adding your stuffing now, so just start with stuffing the legs so that they have shape. like this. Now for the next row, you're going to start with 11 single crochets. Follow that up with 2 decreases. And there's the first decrease and the second decrease. Now you should be left with 14 stitches, 1 single crochet in each of these to bring our stitch count total for this row to 28. And now we're going to follow this up with 2 more rows of just 1 single crochet all the way around for 28 stitches for each of the rows. Now for the next row, you're going to do 2 single crochets followed by a decrease 7 times all the way around until you have 21 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, you're going to do 8 single crochets. And then you're going to follow this up with a decrease. And then you're going to do 9 single crochets and then do a decrease to bring your stitch count total for this row to 19 stitches. Follow this up with just 1 row of 1 single crochet all the way around for 19 stitches. Once you're done, you should have a little body like this. Now go ahead and add enough stuffing into the body. You can snip your yarn and keep this aside. Let's start working on the head. Let's start working on the head now. We're going to start with a magic ring. Into the magic ring, place 6 single crochets. Now for row number 2, increase all the way around for 12 stitches. So into each stitch, have 2 single crochets. Now for the next row, have 1 single crochet followed by an increase 6 times all the way around until you have 18 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, do 2 single crochets followed by an increase 6 times all the way around until you have 24 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, we're going to do 3 single crochets followed by an increase 6 times all the way around until you have 30 stitches for this row, and then follow that up with 1 row of just 1 single crochet all the way around for 30 stitches for that row. Now for the next row, you're going to do 4 single crochets followed by an increase 6 times all the way around until you have 36 stitches for this row, and follow that up with 1 row of 1 single crochet all the way around for 36 stitches. Now for the next row, you're going to do 5 single crochets followed by an increase 6 times all the way around until you have 42 stitches for this row, and then follow that up with 5 rows of 1 single crochet all the way around for 42 stitches for each of the rows. Now once you're done with your repeat rows, this is what it should look like. Now before we proceed, let's add our safety eyes. Got my safety eyes right here. We're going to count to row number 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And between rows 9 and 10, you're going to place the safety eyes. Leave 7 stitches in between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And place your second safety eye. You can change the placement if you're not happy with this. Once you're happy with the placement, put the safety backing at the back. Now for the next row, you're going to do 5 single crochets, 3, 4 and 5, followed by a decrease. You're going to do this 6 times all the way around until you have 36 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, you're going to do 4 single crochets followed by a decrease 6 times all the way around until you have 30 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, you're going to do 3 single crochets followed by a decrease 6 times all the way around until you have 24 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, you're going to do 2 single crochets followed by a decrease 6 times all the way around until you have 18 stitches for this row. Now before we proceed to the next row, make sure that you add stuffing and you stuff the head well. Now for the next row, you're going to do 1 single crochet followed by a decrease 6 times all the way around until you have 12 stitches for this row. Now we're going to leave a long tail that we're going to use for sewing on. Snip your yarn off, pull it through, add your final bits of stuffing, and then you're going to thread your white yarn up. And now we're going to go in and out of each of the stitches. So go in and go out. Basically what we're doing is creating something almost like a drawstring. Do this all the way around. Once you are done going in and out of each of the stitches, just pull it and your head will get closed. You can just do a couple of simple stitches around to close up this hole on the bottom. Leave the rest of the tail still on. We're going to use it to stitch the head onto the body later. Once you're done, this is what it should look like. Now before we go on to the rest of the features, let's go back to the body. We're going back in with the mustard yarn and we're going to create little overalls. So if you remember, we'd done this one row where we'd worked only into the back loops. Now we're going to start working on the front loops. You want to do about 12 stitches, so try to find an equidistant point. So I'm going to start right here. That's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Roughly comes to both sides like this. I've pushed my yarn through that front loop which is hanging loose. I'm going to chain 1 and now I'm just going to do one row of one single crochet until I have 12 stitches. So if you see, I'm working only in that hanging front loop like this. Reach the end, finish your 12 stitches, and I'll show you what to do next. Once you're done with 12 stitches, now this is the pattern that you're going to follow for the next 4 rows. You're going to chain 1, turn your work around, go into the front and back loop and just place one single crochet into each of those stitches. Let me do a few and I'll show you what it looks like, and then you can just keep following this. Repeat. So if you see, we're creating a flap which we're going to use as the overalls. You can do this as high as you want. I don't want it to be too high, so I'm just going to go up to 4 rows. Once you reach the end of the row, you're just going to chain 1, turn and continue placing one single crochet until the end for 12 stitches for each of the rows. So complete your 4 rows and then I'll show you what to do next. Once you're done with your 4 rows, this is what it should look like. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to leave a tail which we're going to use to sew on. We're going to strip our yarn off right now. We'll reattach this yarn later once we've put in the arms to create the straps. Now we're going to work on the arms. We're going to start with our magic ring. Into the magic ring, you're going to do 6 single crochets again. Now for the next row, we're going to do 2 single crochets. One into the first stitch, one into the next one, followed by an increase into the third. 1 and 2. Again 1, 1, 1 and 2, and this brings our stitch count total to 8 stitches for this row. Place your stitch marker into that 8th stitch and just do one row of one single crochet all the way around for 8 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, you're going to do 2 single crochets, 1, 2 followed by a decrease, and you're going to do this 2 times to bring your stitch count total back to 6 stitches. So I'm going to do that one more time. Oops. This is a little small, so be a little careful with the piece. That's 1, 2, and my decrease. So my stitch count total is back to 6 stitches. Now I'm going to do 4 rows of 1 single crochet all the way around for 6 stitches for each of the rows to complete the arms. Once you're done, this is what it should look like. Snip your yarn off, pull it through, don't add any stuffing, and go ahead and make a second one exactly like this. Now you're going to start working on the snout. We're going to do a magic ring with 6 single crochets. For row number 2, increase around for 12. Now you're just going to do 1 row of 1 single crochet all the way around for 12 stitches for this row. Now for the next row, you're going to do 1 single crochet followed by an increase 6 times all the way around until you have 18 stitches for this row. And you're going to follow that up with 1 row of 1 single crochet all the way around for 18 stitches, and then you can snip your yarn off, leave a tail for sewing on, and pull it through. Now if you've got a safety nose, you can just attach your safety nose in place. If you don't have a safety nose, you can just go ahead and embroider on a little triangle or an oval to make a safety nose, like this. Now we can start working on the ears. Start with a magic ring with 6 single crochets, increase around to 12. Now we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3, followed by an increase, 1 and 2, 3 times all the way around until you have 15 stitches for this row. Now do 1 row of 1 single crochet all the way around for 15 stitches for this row. Next you're going to do 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, followed by a decrease 3 times all the way around to get your stitch count total back to 12 stitches. Now once you're done, this is what it should look like. Fold the 2 corners together and just do slip stitches across the bottom to attach the front and the back like this. And you have your little ears. Now you're going to leave a long tail that we're going to use to sew on. Snip your yarn off, pull it through, and go ahead and make a second one exactly like this. Now let's start with the assembly. We're going to start by attaching the snout. So I've added some stuffing at the back, and I'm going to place the snout right in between the eyes like this. Once I'm happy with the placement, you're going to do a simple stitch going back and forth between the head and each one of the stitches of the snout. Make sure you cover all the stitches so you don't have gaps. Like this. Once you're done, this is what it should look like. So now we can start by assembling the bear. We're going to start by attaching the ears. So go to rows 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and between rows 4 and 5 on either side of the head, you're just going to attach the ears like this. You're going to fold it in just a little bit and then kind of curve it to the edge like this and do a simple stitch to sew this in place. Once you're done with the first ear, go ahead and attach the second one as well. Now once you've attached the ears, this is what it should look like. Let's attach the head onto the body. Before you do that, add all the stuffing that you want to. Now you can thread up the head and we're going to attach it to one of the sides like this. Pull the head up in place. Make sure it's facing in the correct direction. And now you're just going to go all the way around the head and make stitches to attach the body and the head together like this. So go through the body and through the head and keep tugging to make sure that everything is secure in place. Ensure that you're going through every one of the stitches. Don't skip any of them, because if you do, then it's not going to be as tight as you would want it to be. Like this. Now once you've attached the head to the body, this is what it looks like. Now let's attach the arms. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sew the two sides of the arms together to make it into a flat piece like this. If you remember, we haven't added any stuffing to this. Now you're going to go 2 rows below the head and you're going to attach the arm. You're going to attach one arm facing upwards and the other arm facing downwards. Let me show you the upwards arm. Go almost in line with the ears, 2 rows down. So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to put this arm facing upwards like this, and then I'm just going to stitch this to the body and make sure that this is flat. So pinch the body together, it will make it a little easier to sew on. Once you've sewed it on, it looks like this. Now that we've attached the arms in place, let's go ahead and attach the little straps to the overalls. So I'm gonna go into that very last stitch and attach my yarn like this. And now you're going to make enough chains so that you can go all the way to the back of the bear. Let me show you. Now you have to make sure you've got enough chains to go all the way at the back. What we're going to do is we're going to do a crisscross kind of overall pattern. So I think I made too many chains. Let me reduce about 2 or 3 chains so that the fit is a little tighter. I'm gonna go to the other side, so let's say around here, and attach to that hanging front loop in the mustard color. It's maybe a little tricky, just split your stitch up. There you go. And now you're just going to grab your yarn and do a slip stitch to make sure you pull it through like this. Go ahead and repeat the same thing on the other side as well, and you will have it crossed across like this. Let me finish that and show you what it looks like. Now once you're done, this is what it should look like. From the back you have a cross, and from the front you have the straps of the overalls like this. Feel free to add any more accessories you want. You can add a hat, you can make a little smiley, a little scarf, whatever you want. So now let's assemble this piece together. I'll show you how you can do it. You can do it a couple of different ways depending on how you want to set it. The way I'm going to do it is have the bear in the corner. I have my balloons right here. We're going to actually take our balloons. Let me show you with these two, and then I'll do it with the others as well. We're going to just thread these up, and once these are threaded up, you can put them through the hand of your bear. If you remember, we didn't add stuffing, so moving things around becomes easier. You can have these at slightly different lengths, however you want. And basically we're going to glue this entire thing down. So do as many balloons as you want, add a few more, you can decorate it a little bit more. Then we're going to add glue to the back side and just stick this down. You can use any form of liquid glue or super glue, or if you have a glue gun, use that as well. But basically stick this down in place, and then if you've got a chalkboard, you can write something on it if you want to put a little message for the baby, or you can even get little Scrabble tiles and put down a name. You can have a little clock, put down the time of the birth and the weight and all of those details. But this makes for a really cute addition to any baby's room. So once the whole thing is glued down, this is what it looks like. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video and you make this project for either yourself or someone really special. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to get notified every time I post a video. Until next time, bye bye.